From your local election headquarters, this is Eyewitness Newsmakers with your hosts, Jayne and Bugda and Andy Mehalshick.
Hello and welcome to Newsmakers from your local election headquarters. I'm Jayne and Bugda.
And I'm Andy Mehalshick. Today we are turning our attention to a race in the State House. Today we're taking a closer look at the race in the 121st district between Democratic incumbent Eddie Day Pashinski and Republican newcomer Sue Henry.
To be fair, we asked each of the candidates the same question concerning issues on the state level and allow them 1 minute to make a statement to the voters.
And then that would be followed by analysis by David Yonkai, Dr. David Sosar, and attorney Chris Cullen.
For more information, go to pahomepage.com under the Newsmakers and Local Election Headquarters link. Newsmakers from your local election headquarters will begin right after this.
And welcome back to Eyewitness Newsmakers. Andy Mehalshick, Jayne and Bugda. And in this segment, we're talking to Eddie Day Pashinski. He is the candidate for the Democratic candidate in the 121st State Legislative District. He's also the incumbent, serving 12 years in Harrisburg. First of all, welcome to our program today.
Well, thank you, Andy and Jayne. It's nice to be here with you.
Basic question, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and why you're running for re-election.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm proud to say I'm a native of Nanticoke. I was born in a half a double block of West Noble Street. Graduated from Newport High School. My dad was a coal miner. Mom worked in J.S. Robb Shoe Store, then later on at the RCA in Mountaintop. And then I went to Wilkes College. I got a degree in music, and I enjoyed the children of Nanticoke area. I had the pleasure of teaching for 38 years. I was the music teacher, and I was also the choral director, and also was a member of the union, an officer of the union, and absolutely enjoyed my almost 50 years here in Wilkes-Barre. That's where I've lived for nearly 5 decades. And I just enjoyed northeastern Pennsylvania. I also met my wife at Wilkes, and I have 4 beautiful children and 7 gorgeous grandchildren. And that's where I also ended up becoming a starfighter way back when. That also happened at Wilkes University. At that time it was Wilkes College. And Lord and behold, not in my plans at all, but I have the distinct honor and privilege of serving as the representative of the 121st District. So I'm blessed.
So tell us, what is your top priority as a lawmaker?
Well, I have quite a number. If you're talking about immediately, when we go back into session in September, my #1 priority is to get my bill passed, 1539, Emergency Temporary Guardianship for Grandparents Raising Grandchildren. Catherine Watson has 2133. Those bills are desperately needed to help grandparents raising their grandchildren. Believe it or not, over 90,000 grandchildren are being raised by 88,000 grandparents, and they need help. So that's my first priority when we come back. The initial priority for me when I first started was health care. It is not affordable, and because it's not affordable, it's therefore not accessible, so therefore quality doesn't even matter. If we are able to reduce health care by the levels of the other industrialized nations, I don't know whether your viewers know this, but 50%, we are paying double of what any other industrialized nation pays in healthcare. It would reduce the cost overall to our municipalities, to our school districts, to government, to business, to everything. Imagine we're paying $3.5 trillion for our healthcare right now, and not everyone gets it. So that's still a #1 priority. And as I demonstrated to you earlier, I had a task force. We sent a white paper to President Obama back in 2009. I'm asking for a task force again to rip apart the healthcare system, a forensic audit, decide what is working, what isn't working, fix it, and reduce that cost so we all can have it. Taxation, certainly want to reduce the property taxes, certainly want to, what we're looking for is fair taxation, to try to balance our dollars so that we can provide the things that we need for all our constituents.
And that's my next question, of course, property tax reform. It seems, Ed, that everyone talks about it. House Bill 76, Senate Bill 76, they get so far and then it stalls. How can we make property tax reform a reality?
Well, you know, the governor tried that back in 2015. I supported it. It was Representative Schreiber's bill, 1144. It would have reduced the property taxes quite significantly, especially in my district. And by the way, every legislator has to support their district. And that's why I've taken the position I have on taxes. So the House Bill 1144 would have reduced our property taxes in the 121st district by at least $800. That would have been quite significant, since the vast majority's average is between $1,200 and $1,600. I also voted for 504, which would do something very similar. You would balance out your PIT and your sales tax to help reduce the property tax significantly. To eliminate it, that's where the problem is. You have to come up with $14 billion. And that is a huge lift. I think we should definitely do what we know we can. Reduce it, continue to work towards a way to find new dollars to eliminate it. The only new dollars that we have, Marcellus Shale, which we may end up talking about. For 10 years, the industry has not had a severance tax. We have lost anywhere from $200 to $300 million every year. You multiply that over 10 years, you're talking billions of dollars that could have helped subsidize the cost of our schools or the cost of our communities, anything. That's a lot of money not to have.
So that was my question. Do you support an oil and gas severance tax?
I have made that clear from day one. I've met with the industry. By the way, many of your listeners might be surprised. Many of the businesses in that Marcellus industry are willing to do a Marcellus shale tax. They don't like the negative publicity. They want to be good stewards of our natural resource, which also belongs to the people of Pennsylvania. And we're the only state that does not have a severance tax. A severance tax of 4 or 5%, once again, something similar to what the governor is talking about, trying to get passed, would be a tremendous improvement to our tax fairness plan.
Ed, speaking about revenue, would you support, what's your opinion on some talk about legalizing marijuana to increase revenue for the state's coffers?
Well, I'm proud to say that I was a staunch supporter of medical marijuana, and everyone was opposed to that, or a great deal, until people began to realize the truth about it. It isn't people going off into a corner and smoking. This is liquids. These are pills and so on that help so many people with various ailments. As long as Pennsylvania needs new money, marijuana legalization is definitely a proposal that will definitely see more debate. I think if we think back to Prohibition and alcohol, when you had Prohibition, what was happening? People had stills all over the place, people had illegal booze, and you're not going to prevent that from happening. If we legalize marijuana, there's also some strong indication that it also reduces the opioid use, and that can then be even prescribed.
And just quickly in 30 seconds, how do we attract new jobs to our area?
New jobs is all dealing, it's called incentives. What do? We have KOZ zones, we have CRIZ zones. What else is going to attract them here? I've always said we have an outstanding work ethic here in northeastern Pennsylvania. This goes way back to the coal industry, but that ethic is still here. That's one. We need job training. We need our education systems. And by the way, they're adapting. LCC is coming across with a lot of different programs to help for the needs of the jobs that are available right now. That education is key. And a workforce that has the work ethic, has the education. We have a great real estate issue here. You can buy beautiful homes at a fraction of the cost anyplace else. But we are competing against Erie, Allentown, Reading, Bethlehem. So we need to all come on board. I know I've worked with the Chamber of Commerce and quite a number of other people in the fact that we are trying to advertise Wilkes-Barre as a great place to come and have your business here.
We have less than a minute. Why should people support Ed? Why should they re-elect you?
Well, I cannot tell you.
Right there.
All right. I have to say I'm the same person that I was when I started, and that is simply this. This is a privilege to serve. It is an honor for me to serve. And I am humbled by the people of the 121st District for having elected me 6 times. I'm going to say over and over again, I do not see political party. I don't see Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever party. I don't see race, color, or creed. I represent everybody, no matter what your likes or dislikes. And my office, by the way, I'm grateful for the great staff I have. We'll continue to try to serve the people of the 121st District. If you feel fit to vote for me again, I will continue to dedicate my life towards making the 121st District the best I possibly can. Thank you.
And State Representative Eddie Day Pashinski, thank you so much for joining us today. To learn more about State Representative Pashinski, join us on pahomepage.com or on the Newsmakers link and the local election headquarters link, and we'll be right back.
And welcome back to Eyewitness Newsmakers, your special election headquarters. Our guest this segment, Sue Henry, Republican candidate for the 121st District here in Luzerne County. And Sue, first of all, the easiest question, tell our viewers and possible voters about your background and who you are.
Well, thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. I have lived in Luzerne County since I went to college at King's. I thought I would go somewhere else, but I stayed right after college, and I've been here all along. I've been in the media for most of my life. I have been in the media for 34 years, although I recently left the media. I was a talk show host for WILK. And when I left there, I didn't really have a plan to get into politics at all, but people came to me almost immediately and they said, based on your background, as I said, I've been in the media for a long time. I know I've been following issues. I'm an adjunct professor at King's College, so I'm still on the campus all these years later. I manage the college radio station, WRKC. So all these things have given me a lot of time to talk to people about their thoughts and concerns. So taking on this task was not as unexpected as you might think.
So what is your top priority as you're out there campaigning for office?
My top priority is doing something about the burdensome property tax situation to fund our schools. I don't believe that I'm trying to stop children from being educated. That is not my intent. My intent is to find a different way to pay for it. A lot of people have paid for decades to fund the schools. When is enough enough? Is my question on that. So that has become my top priority based on what people have said to me that they'd like to see.
What will you do to reduce state income taxes and reform property taxes? It's sort of what your follow-up to what you just talked about.
Well, I think that there is a plan in place that Harrisburg has been lukewarm on, but I think should heat up on. There are two pieces of legislation. There's House Bill 76 and there's Senate Bill 76. Both of these bills would eliminate school property taxes. How would they do it? I know you want to know, so I'm going to tell you how they would do it. There would be an expansion in the state sales tax from 6% to 7%. That would mean that more people would help us to fund the school systems. It seems to make sense. There'd also be a modest increase in the wage tax, and there would be an expansion of taxes on some services. This is a plan that's called revenue neutral, so that means that whatever is taken away from property taxes would be replaced by different taxes.
So do you or do you not support an oil and gas severance tax?
That is a very complicated issue. Right now, as you know, there's an impact fee, and last year there was almost $210 million collected in an impact fee, and a lot of that money goes back to the communities that are affected, or I guess impacted, by the Marcellus Shale drilling. So those areas are receiving money. If there was a severance tax, my concern is that that tax would affect people whose property is being drilled upon, and I guess there are contracts in place, and that those contracts stipulate that there may be some tax consequence for people who are allowing this drilling to take place on their property. That does concern me. I'm not opposed to looking at it, but at the same time, I want people to be aware there is something now called an impact fee that is collected on the Marcellus shale industry. And like I said, last year it was $210 million. That's a nice chunk of change.
Do you support, on the same vein, do you support possibly legalizing marijuana to earn revenue for the state?
Another very complicated question. We know that Pennsylvania has recently waded into medical cannabis. We know that they have taken that particular step. I would like to see how that unfolded. In some other places, medical cannabis has been rolled out, and then recreational marijuana has been legalized, and the medical cannabis industry is impacted very severely by that. So I'd like to see a little bit more about how this is playing out across the country. I would never rule it out, never. I think we need to look at everything. The other thing that concerns me about that is, where does the money go, and will there be a treatment component? Because addiction, as you know, where we live, is a very serious issue. And I would like to make sure that that we address addiction and not somehow make it worse by delving into recreational marijuana without making sure that we have everything done in a way where we've looked at the research to see where it stands.
Jobs are always on people's minds. How do we attract jobs here, and how do we retain businesses here?
The business tax in Pennsylvania is almost 10%. It's 9.99. That's almost 10%. And I think that we need to look at that very seriously. If you can't get businesses to come here in the first place, then we're never going to be able to keep our kids here. And this is an issue for people because we educate our kids in Pennsylvania, and then we export our kids. And I think that we need to be more cognizant of that kind of taxing. So we have to make sure that we have the carrot and the stick, that we have the carrot, the attraction of businesses, and then we have the ability to employ more people or attract people from across the country to come to Pennsylvania, which is an absolutely beautiful state that we all love. We've been here for a long time and we love it.
And Sue, last question, we'd like you to address the camera.
Okay.
And tell the folks in this district, why should they support Sue Henry for the State House?
I've spent a lot of time talking to individuals about issues, and I think that I have a lot of information that maybe other people don't have because I listen very well, and people have talked to me. Property tax elimination is essential to me. Addressing the addiction problem is very important to me, and the quality of life where we live is extremely important to me. These are the three issues that I've been talking about with people in northeastern Pennsylvania. And in my district, the 121st, I think that we could do great work together as a team if you do elect me.
Well, Sue Henry, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
If you'd like to learn more about Sue Henry, we have more information on pahomepage.com. We're under the Newsmakers and local election headquarters link, and we'll be right back.
And welcome back to Eyewitness Newsmakers from your local election headquarters. We just heard from the candidates in the 121st District State House seat in basically Luzerne County. Sue Henry, the Republican challenger, against longtime incumbent Eddie Day Pashinski. Dave Yonka, how's this race shaping up? What do you think?
Well, if you take a look at, what the two candidates said in the statements prior to you asking us our opinion, both of them are articulate, both of them are very well versed, and both of them are formidable candidates. I think that people are going to have to make the decision as to whether they want to get a known quantity out of office and take a chance on Sue Henry, if they want to take an insider and keep him there and see exactly what transpires, or whether they want to take a chance on Sue Henry and her stand on property tax reform. Like I said, this district encompasses the entire city of Wilkes-Barre. There's going to be a new school built. I think property owners are on notice right now that this is going to be a very important election. So I think it's going to be it's going to be a toss-up at this point.
Yeah, and working off of what Dave just said, obviously the two major themes in this campaign are going to be education And the cost of education, not only in the Wilkes-Barre School District with the building of a new school, but the cost of education in general. Again, that's funneling down from the governor's race, but both have definite feelings about property taxes, property tax reform, how to do it, and education in general, not just as far as the school is concerned. So I think this is going to be one of the real fun if kind of battles that you're going to watch and see, and I'm looking forward to this.
It's not going to be fun for Patricia
well,
and Henry,
not
but
for
anyway.
them, but I'm enjoying it.
It's one of those type of local state rep elections that really bring democracy to your front door in the sense, and turnout is key, as was mentioned earlier. And to some extent, you do have a congressional election going on and a gubernatorial election and a Senate, United States Senate. And because of that dynamic, it could drive turnout. It could drive turnout also the issues, as you talked about, school property taxes and education and the role of education and how you fund that. All those things, if they drive turnout, yes, that idea of perhaps replacing what you have with something new or keeping what you have because something new isn't really new is going to be the decision of the voters.
Yep.
And Jane, if I can just add one more thing, and I know we speak for everybody here, this will not make a difference unless you, the voter, go on out and vote on election day. After listening to these, make sure you cast your vote.
And we can't stress that enough. Exercise your right to vote. Attorney Chris Cullen, Dr. David Sosar, David Yonkai, Andy Mehalshick. I'm Jayne Bugda. Thank you for being with us and weighing in on your opinion and helping us through this election season. You're watching Newsmakers from your local election headquarters. Check us out on pahomepage.com under the local election headquarters. We have a lot of information there, and we'll talk again next time.